Hey,
What's up, Les?
what's up?
Big Les in the building.
I'm in. I'm here.
What,
What's
what's going on?
up? Oh,
How are you?
I'm good. I'm good. Thank you so much for having
That's
me. And
what's up.
like great work that you do for Uptown because you are showing footage that I have not seen or don't even remember, and I'm just like, yeah, I remember. You know what I'm saying? It's flashback. It's dope every time it pops up on my page. So thank you so much.
Oh, no problem. Thank you for just giving to a culture like that. I
I'm just
mean, man,
these who had dreams. You know, that's all it is. Doing cartwheels.
yeah,
Who knew that it would turn into all of this? So
right. But I mean, you've been doing your thing for a long, long time, and I just want to ask you, when did you sleep between 89 and 2020?
well, anytime that the phone start ringing, because that's a real thing. So I tried not to. You know, that whole, I think everybody literally from like that whole 90s generation is literally what Puffy says, can't stop, won't stop. You know, like the Beastie
Yeah,
Boys sleep till Brooklyn. And that's really what it is. It's like you got to keep going. And when you're in one gig, you're already looking 10 steps ahead for the next gig that you don't even enjoy the gig that you're in. So that's kind of what it
exactly.
I never really had management or an agent. So when you're hustling for yourself and making all these phone calls, acting like you're your own rep and all that stuff, you just do what you got to do.
That's what's up, man. So you started with gymnastics.
Yeah, I was a tom girl from Queens, and my mom put me in a trampoline class next to the hospital where she works. She's a nurse, and the trampoline instructor was like, she needs to be in a gymnastic class. And literally after 1 month there, and I started late. I started when I was like 10 or 11, and most gymnasts start when they're like 4. But I was
Yeah.
competing in a competition a year later once he got his hands on me. And next thing you know, I'm competing and full scholarship to college, and gymnastics has been my life every day of the week. I'm always in the gym. I've been in a leotard since I can remember, so that's all I know.
That's what's up. When did you fall in love with dance?
Well, I fell in love with dance as a club kid in New York. You know, I'm like the early hip hop, you know, stuff from the jams in the park. I grew up around Herbie Lovebug, Kid and Play, like Positive K. We all went to high school together. Like they're a little older, so they went to high school with my sister. But me, like DJ Wiz, we went to elementary school together. Positive K and I were in high school classes together. So, you know, the jams in the park and being around the Disco Twins and the Super Love MCs and all that other stuff. And then watching
Yeah.
every and whether it was from the WAP to like the early breakdancing. And then I'm from like, you know, quintessential New York where there was really graffiti on the trains and Israelite
Yeah.
and everybody having their like linoleum or cardboard and breakdancing. But being, you know, 15 and sneaking into the clubs, I got into hip hop first because you do that from roller skating, right? Everybody's getting their roller skate bounce on. And
Right.
then house music came around and I was sucked in. I'm part of the like garage era, the Paradise Garage, the World, the Choice, the Space, Kilimanjaro. And I just
Yeah.
started, you know, hitting all the parties. And then when music videos started to come around, I would see people like Jody Watley and Janet Jackson and Paul Abdul
Yeah.
dancers in the background. I'm like, I can do that. I can do that. And I didn't see anybody
Yeah.
do it. And I was like, oh my God. So by the time I was ready for college to graduate, I had gotten into a 5 years master program for sports medicine, physical therapy, but you can only compete for 4 years. And so I opted
Mhm.
out my 5th year because I was just like, I got to get to Broadway. I got to get back to New York.
Right.
Literally my first audition, I booked and kept booking stuff after that. But I'm a house dancer, I think, even though I'm like hip hop inspired from New York,
Yeah.
house dancer first. That's where I learned
That's
like
what's up.
and all that other stuff.
Yeah. So what was your first video? Music video?
My first video really was for a group called oh God, not Untouched, On Top. They were a house music duo. And if you look on my reel, it's probably on YouTube or on my leslieseeger.com page, and you'll see where I'm doing like 3 somersaults that they superimposed. It's black and white video, but it was for them. So I was doing like a couple of underground videos. A diva, it should have been me. To me, it's actually one of the videos that shows some of my best work because they had me
Mhm.
backflips down the aisle emulating John Belushi in the Blues Brothers. And I guess they hired
Mhm.
to do it and do the trampoline, and they couldn't do it. And I was hired to be part of the core of dancers, not an individual. And the DP, Mike Ellis, who was there, I was like, Mike, tell him I can do it. And so he was like, watch this. And I do all these flips down. He's like, tape it. And they actually made the video and they kept it. So, but I think my first major video probably was Around the Way Girl, I think, LL Cool J.
Yeah, the original Around the Way Girl. And they
Really?
had you right in the front. And I was like, she looks so familiar. And then the next thing, you know, back then, because you could, like, when you was watching videos, you could recognize people from video to video. Because back then, when you followed people, you really had to follow them. You had to buy the magazines. You had to tune in to everything that was on. And I was like, she is cold, whoever that is. And then the next thing you know, it was like the Remember the Time video. It was so many of you guys, but everybody stood out. Like Tish stood out, Josie stood out, you stood out. It was like a lot of people that wasn't even considering dance as a career wanted to dance because of what I was doing at that time.
But that's what
So
that about. Like, music videos was an event. You had to sit at home and wait for MTV to air. We couldn't DVR,
yeah,
couldn't set it, we couldn't watch it later on YouTube. Like, there was none of that. It was like, yo,
right.
so and so's premiere tonight. And it was kind of like an event, and I think
Yep.
probably we were all club kids dancing together. So many people who became actors and actresses, like J-Lo and I, we all came up together. Lorianne Gibson, Darren Henson, Elise Neal, like all of us, Wyclef, we were all just club kids. Literally, it was like a college campus for us, hanging out in Washington Square Park. And people forget that
Yeah.
everything was long form then, and all the executives and all the artists hung out in the clubs in New York. So they would either be
Hmm.
like in the cypher on the mic, or we'd be in a circle dance battling, and then all the executives would be like, here's my business card, here's my business card, here's my business card.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Who was either call 411 on the operator on the real phone, get the
Right.
find out what department handles music videos, that kind of a thing. Or there
Yeah.
were casting books, the backstage newspaper that had auditions in the back, and that's all you really had
Yeah.
to go on. So it was a
Yeah. Right. The leg work was real.
yeah. So these kids with this short-term success, they have no idea.
No idea.
I
Yeah.
wouldn't trade my journey for anything at all. So I guess that's where the
Hmm.
longevity comes in, even though I haven't hit my peak yet. I haven't gotten my gazillion-dollar contract yet, but it's coming, it's coming, it's coming.
It's coming. It's definitely coming. So your first big tour was the Bobby Brown tour?
No, it was a Key Sweat tour. It was a triple threat tour with Key Sweat, BBD, and Johnny Gill. And I was Key Sweat's dancer and would literally sit at the bottom of the stage watching BBD's dancers every night, straight ahead. Those
Yeah.
scoped me that I wanted to be one. I wanted to have a ponytail. I wanted to be one
Yeah.
doing our thing,
Yeah.
so,
They was killing.
killing.
And that time, what was the vibe like on your first tour? Like, were you nervous? Like, what was that feeling like, not knowing how the things work behind the stage?
I was nervous as nobody's business because I literally went to college. You move back home, you're living with your mother who's like, you got 6 months to get an apartment, get the hell up out of the house, right? So I
Yeah.
got a 9 to 5 job. She's not trying to hear nothing about me dancing or whatever. Like, please keep your job. And I was working at like Sports Training Institute. I was doing a lot of training for paraplegics, people with asthma or, sickle cell or whatever, and training people for the marathon. And so I didn't even know what a leave of absence was, and talked to like,
Hmm.
they were like, we'll hold your position for you for like 3 months. I was like, that. So then we get on this tour. There are no contracts. There are no retainers. There's nothing. You're just kind of out here on your own. And there were no agencies back then. There was no representation whatsoever. And Keith Sweat on that tour broke his foot. And so you're like, oh my God, I'm going to have to go back to a 9 to 5. Like, no. But like,
Yeah.
he stayed, he stayed working. Thank you, Jesus. And
Yeah.
I realized that now I got to find what my next job is going to be so I don't have to go back to that other job. So you start hustling
Right.
in your ear to the grind, find out who's going on tour next, who needs a dancer. And luckily for me, it happened like 2 or 3 times that every time I performed at Madison Square Garden, this is when the artists got to hang out backstage, like pre 9/11, where everybody was backstage. And it was like a who's
Yeah.
coming to say what's up. And everybody had a backstage pass. And they would meet me and some of the other dancers at our dressing room, like, I need you on my tour. Oh, I'm shooting my video Tuesday. I need you in it. And that's really how I got most of my work. It happened with Heavy D and the boys. They came backstage. It happened with Guy, came backstage and snatched me. So it was a blessing.
I was watching the guy performance of Dog Me Out on our City Hall show. Y'all outfits, y'all was killing. Damien was killing. Y'all outfits was cold. Who was doing the outfits for the dancers?
What's that? I'm sorry.
Who was doing the outfits for the dancers? Like who did the costuming?
Oh my God, we picked out our own stuff. They would give us money to go shopping, and we'd either like hit the mall and go to that store, Contempo Casuals, or like if we were in New York, we'd go to
Yeah,
Village, and that's kind of probably where that outfit came. No, we were in LA, so we probably went down to Melrose like for that outfit. You know what I mean? Just like on some
yeah.
real, let's take it to the next level. Because most of the time back then, you know, we're in baggy jeans, we're in Doc Martens,
Mm-hmm. Yep.
jerseys, we got the hat to the back, and you know, maybe a little bra top on, because it was all about the dance. It wasn't about the sexiness. And then that kind of
Right.
a little bit depending on the song.
Right. So you have danced for Father MC. I'm naming the Uptown artists. Horace Brown, Guy, Mary, of course, Heavy D and the Boys, countless others. I remember seeing you in another video. I don't remember who the guy was. I don't remember if it was Sadat X, but you played a judge.
Oh,
Do you remember that?
I feel like I do. Wasn't Nesto, right? No.
No, it was a rapper. And, you played the judge, and you was just sitting there mean mugging the defendant the whole time. And I was like, man, skills, skills, skills.
Um,
So with the acting part, was what was that? Who's the man your first role?
um, yeah, I'd done some extra work like I'm gonna get you sucker. I was like an extra dancer on that. But that was my first speaking role was Who's the Man? And you know, it's interesting with acting because I spent so many years on tour and away that I didn't, like I said, I didn't have an agent, I didn't have a manager. I was booking all of my own gigs, negotiating all of my own deals. And sometimes when you're like a dancer or something, one thing back then they didn't really, unless you did Broadway, they didn't really look at you
Hmm.
threat. So you almost have to make the dancing go away, stop it, and focus on acting. Like if you even think
Hmm.
career, she had to leave the dancing alone for a minute, make sure you guys took
Yeah,
her as an actress, leave that alone, make sure you guys take her seriously as a singer. Like that's kind of what it is. And now it was more acceptable for men to do 20 other things than it was for women. Even when it came to like pregnancy, you see women now, they're still on tour with their baby bumps and everybody loves seeing them get busy. But back then, if you were like a newscaster, they'd shoot you from here up. You
yeah,
gotta lose the weight. So it wasn't as accepted back then. So I don't even remember a lot of the work, honestly. There are people who I meet on the street who was like, yeah, I remember you on the set of this thing we shot. And I was like, oh, yeah. Like, because, you know, you're so busy, again, looking forward for the next job that you almost don't get a chance to enjoy the projects that you're on.
yeah. Because I remember I was watching House Party 2, and I was like, I had seen a movie 1,000 times, and like this was like last year I was watching it, and I'm like, is that big Lance that just walked past in the red catsuit jumpsuit? I'm like, that's amazing. I'm like, did she get any sleep? Like she was everywhere. That was so dope.
That was the best.
So,
Yeah, I got to dance, I think, on stage. I think either Ralph Tresvant
yep,
performance or something, backflipping. I'm also in New Jack
yep.
Swing City, excuse me. There was that whole club dancing scene, and so I was in that. I think I'm in Juice, was dance scene or a club scene at the Power of the building. So, you know, I was able to kind of dip it out, but just trying to get the lines and the work was, you know, has always been something of a challenge. So
That's dope. You said I think I was in Juice.
I remember
That's
being
dope.
like, but you know what I mean? But I don't think I made the edit
Yeah.
there a few days. So, you know, I worked on Malcolm X. I didn't get to dance, you know, doing the Lindy Hop, which I just absolutely love. And that was a blessing that came back around for Living Single because director Otis Salid, who choreographed the dance scenes for like School Days and Malcolm X and all that
Mhm.
stuff, who came and got me for Living Single intro. So it was a blessing. I'm a
Yes.
huge
That's a classic. That's one of my generation's favorite shows, and they always I'll be watching them on Instagram, and they always be like, "Y'all know that's Big Les, right?" People be like, "Oh, for real?" But it's a lot of people that knew that was you, that knew that whole silhouette.
It's the crazy
So that's dope.
in line at McDonald's and somebody would tap me on the shoulder and be like, "Aren't you that girl who dances? Or that aren't you that girl who flips?" And so for a long time, people recognized, I guess, the physique, for lack of another word, as the girl who dances. It wasn't until I got to Rep City, or maybe started getting in some magazines, that people actually knew what my name was. But the
Yeah.
read, even till this day, from older people, is just crazy. It's a blessing. I'll take it any way I could get it, you know?
Yes. Speaking of that, speaking of BET, they had did the behind the scenes of the Real Love video. That's when I learned your name. And I was like, follow you ever since the box talk with you, Sybil and Mary. What
Oh my.
was that like? Filming that box talk.
We have been, well, I had already been dancing and choreographing for Mary, and we pretty much were together almost every single day. Things changed a little bit once I started shooting Rap City, because I wasn't able to dance as much, or be around as much. And I think by that time I may have had to, we had probably just finished and we were still doing promotional stuff. It hadn't, I don't think I had officially moved away from dancing. But
Hmm.
hanging out with Mary is like, we're around the way girls. Her from the Bronx, me from Queens, and it was just kind of like symbiotic when we got together, just simpatico, excuse me, when we got together, that I felt like I knew her since we were in elementary school or kindergarten together. You know what I mean? And us
Yeah,
blocking everybody in Harlem like, yo, what's up? You know what I'm saying? And
yeah,
she wasn't one of those artists who was insecure about me getting recognition as well as her. There are some people who just want to just be the star and nobody should know who you are.
yeah,
At all. Like we were arm in arm, hand in hand. That's my girl. And I just love her growth. I'm so happy for her success. I know there's been trials and tribulations, and I was there for a lot of them, with the people doing whatever they did with their money behind the scenes. But she has walked through the
yeah.
fire. And that's my sister all day, every day.
She is a legend. She is everything. And that's one of the things that people, not just females, but guys too, young kids, relate to both of you guys on, because it's like I can't explain it. It's like we could feel the homegirlness. Like, even though never met you, it's like we could feel that homegirlness between you and Mary. And that's what a lot of people relate to when it comes to her. And the same thing with you, because you guys represent, us. Like, it's like looking in the mirror, you guys are like the girls that we grew up with. And at that time back then, you wasn't seeing that. You was seeing people that was already coached and dressed and told to stand a certain way and stuff like that, and that had that like the Motown format
Right.
almost.
That's
You
why,
like the hip hoppers.
I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
That's why people were surprised when they saw the real Whitney Houston, because I knew who
Right,
Whitney Houston was from New Jersey, because that's who she was around us. But in front of the camera, her or Mariah or whoever else or Diana Ross, they gave you this whole other thing because that's what they felt the public needed to see, as opposed to who you really are. And now, of course, on social media,
right.
people don't, they want to see who you really are, with or without makeup, with your stretch marks, whatever.
Yeah,
I'm saying, people want that so that they can feel relatable. And I think for Mary,
yeah,
it takes too much effort to be so extra and to be so diva-ish and all that other shit.
yeah,
I think as New York girls,
yeah,
tell it like it is, and you just, let's get to the point. Let's get to it. Let's, do what we need to do. We're not
yep.
here for the.
And that makes it easier too for your fans and your following to grow with you, because everybody like grows. Like, you know what I'm saying? People don't stay the same as like the same type of person that they was when they first came out. You're not going to be that person. You're going to go through things. You're going to grow up. And people grew with Mary. They grew with you because we watched you dance, and then we watched you host, all of those things. Like, you being on BET was so, it was so important back then, because the difference between the other hosts, they were in studio, and you and Joe Claire was in the streets, like in the thick of it with the artists. Well, wherever they were, that's where y'all were, in the studio, the house, the spa, and that made it. I don't know. That made it. extra like you could really, really bond with the people that you were following, like your favorite artists. It was like you was just hanging out with them. So that's
Yeah,
why people feel like
I
they know
absolutely.
you.
Yeah, I think the era that me and Joe Claire had, and even Prince Dejour, that we were literally in everybody's homes, even before MTV Cribs came around. That,
Right.
with Buju Banton and Cableton, we're in the hood, and I with Dub C riding my first lowrider for the first time, and all this stuff. We're out there in Texas with Rap A Lot Records and Lil J, and he's shoeing horses because you didn't know that he owns a farm, and he's got all this stuff going on besides hip hop. Like, it was really, really beautiful. So for me, I was so happy for Tigger getting on, but putting him in the basement to me broke my heart. And even though they felt like it needed a different look, and they sure got the freestyle mic, the open mic going on, I think it
Yeah.
lost a little bit for the show of people feeling like they're in Chicago with Common, we're in Miami with Lil,
Right.
see how these people live. But it was successful. That was just me, and that's what I loved about doing the show.
Yeah, exactly. I feel the same way, even though it had like you saw things you didn't see, like people spitting, freestyling, and freestyling on the toilet and stuff like that. I think it was cool, but it was not like you and Joe Claire out there on the street.
So thank you.
So the Real Love video, where did you shoot that?
We were downtown in New York. We were on, I believe, on the east side, west side, east side. I think we were on the west side somewhere downtown. We weren't in Brooklyn. And Puff, I've known Puff since he was a dancer in the clubs, even though he was running back and forth from Howard and stuff. He was a club kid like the rest of us. And he was, remember, he was dancing for Ball MC and Jodeci back in the day. So we
Yeah, exactly.
silent. So we all go back to those humble beginnings. And once we all started working and doing a lot of stuff for the artists, like, yo, Les, I need you to give me, some of that marriage, give me that Uptown, give me that hardcore. Y'all need to hit hard or whatever, that kind of a thing. And, all the girls are from New York. And it was just kind of our
Hmm.
flow. Once you even just get into the freestyle, like when you look at, you remind me, like, Jennifer Farris, who choreographed Around the Way Girl. She was one of the dancers in that too. And we all just kind of gelled and worked together and put our masterminds and stuff, and just, the fun stuff that you see at the end. A lot of that is married. Like, and that's what
Yeah.
work with the artists, is you have to pull the essence of them and put it into whatever this
Hmm.
concept the director wants you to have, because you want it to look authentic for them. You want it to look like it's easy for them, and not that they're concentrating on the steps. And Mary will say 1,000 times she's not a dancer or whatever. Yeah, I worked her ass
Hmm.
hard, but I worked her hard because she gave me good stuff to work with that, we just had to bring to the surface.
Yes. And everybody are still doing those same moves. Like every time they listen to her, they're still doing those same moves.
I know.
Legendary.
It comes on in the club, it's like a whole thing. Or if I'm somewhere and there's like a TV on and Living Single comes on, everybody's like, how'd you do the arm moves, blah blah blah. And I was like, ancient Chinese
I was going to
secret.
ask, that was my next question. That was my next question. How did you do those arm moves?
I'll never tell. One day I'll do, sometimes when I do a master class, I may just show everybody. It's easier than people think. I just happen to be ambidextrous, so I can kind of, as a gymnast, I need to learn how to twist left and right, and my arms can kind of move in both directions at the same time. So that's all.
Yeah.
Once I like break it down, you'll be like, oh,
Mhm.
then it's kind of like going this, tapping your head and rubbing your stomach at the same time. So
Yeah. So that night at the Apollo, what was that like? The energy was so high. They was like everybody was anticipating Mary, and that I had never seen that before, where the dancers kind of did an intro before the artist came out. Like, how did that come about?
this was the first time that Mary was doing the Apollo. So we already were on edge, and we knew that this had to be big. And, you got Andre Harrell and everybody, Jimmy Jenkins, like, money. We need Mary to shine. Like, that's how they talk. And it's like, okay, okay, okay. And the pressure's on. And Mary was bubbling in New York. You remind me, was on the radio. Real Love was on the radio.
Yeah,
On promo after promo show, hitting the clubs. But this was like the first TV stuff. And so, once they remixed the intro of the music, it was like, oh, well then, all right, now we got to really roll out the red carpet in the way that we know how. So she was always okay with letting us shine and do our thing, and I think that was the best way for us to bring her out. And I'm telling you, YouTube has been a godsend, because I completely forgot these moments and what happened or what it looked like. And so for me to see that
yeah,
video Oh shit, we flipped and we did, and that's right. And that's when, if you remember the original Apollo, they had the older woman in the front who was always up
Right.
there, stage, and
Yeah.
she was there, and like, you know, the original Sandman was there. But New York, like, you couldn't hear a pin drop. It was so loud, and everybody rushed to the stage, and they loved Mary then as much as they love her now.
Yeah, that's fact. That is fact. And that's a legendary performance. And I remember I was stayed up all night waiting on that. And I was like, damn, these dancers is killing it with the Malcolm X jersey. Like that was just so dope.
Shout out to Misa Hilton. She did that, you know, killing it.
Yes, Misa.
Netflix documentary. I think it's the remix of Fashion. Her and April Walker from Walker Wear are shining on that. And
Yes, I love it. So have you ever thought about doing a documentary?
I'm actually shooting one now. We started shooting before the COVID happened. So for me, you know,
Hmm.
as much as I suffer from Peter Pan syndrome, right? I'm still 22 on the inside, and if you look on like my
Right.
Instagram, still doing trapeze and trampoline and all this other stuff. So I refuse to grow up. But as much as I would love to still, I would look crazy dancing behind, you know, Nicki Minaj right now, or even Rihanna at this point. So Debbie Allen is somebody who's really laid the blueprint on transitioning from dancing
Hmm.
to acting to producing and whatever. And for me, it went from, you know, dancing, choreography to television to radio. And now it's time for me to spread my wings as a director. And I realized I can't talk to Michael Jackson anymore. I can't talk to Heavy D. I can't talk to Whitney
Hmm.
Houston. Can't talk to John Singleton, Andre and Harrell. I still have the text on my page because we were scheduled for him to shoot the documentary with me. And then we lost him. You know, my parents are getting older and I have to like get them on camera and our stories have to be told, you know, and all of our stuff is
Yeah.
in. And so I'm working on that now. We've been really shooting. I've gotten some great interviews from Bobby Brown and from Teddy Riley. I'm going to be shooting with Rosie Perez. And I don't care who's telling their version of the dance story. Let all the stories be told. Everybody's perspective.
Yeah.
Let Netflix, let Hulu, whoever pick it up. And let's just bring dance to the forefront the way it needs to
Yeah.
be. Golden era should not go away quietly. And I think there's so many
Right.
influences artists and the dancers and choreographers and the directors are pulling from the 90s now that they need
Hmm.
that really need to know what the root of all that is for us who were culture creators then.
Yes. And I'm so happy that you're doing that.
Thank you.
And that is very, very important. That's another reason why I had started the Uptown page because I felt like, well, actually, I was at a party and it was a 90s party. And I had noticed like half of the songs are coming from Uptown. And, I'm a hip hop head, so I save everything. I got videotapes, 45s, LPs, everything, magazines. So I was like, I'm gonna start a page. And I was like, I don't want to call it a fan page because the record company doesn't exist anymore. So I'm just gonna call it Uptown Records. Plus, when you put fan page sometimes on things, people be like, they brush it off. So I wanted to really, really start a page for Uptown,
So
and
did
I felt like
you never work for Uptown Records?
no, but I did send in a resume when I was 11 to
Goodness.
Puff. I wrote him when I heard that he was leaving Uptown and starting Bad Boy. I wrote him a letter. I was like 11 years old, and I was like, I want to come with you. I don't know what I'm gonna be doing, but I'm gonna be doing something. But nah, I was too young.
Oh my, all this time I really thought that you might have been like the intern that I never met who worked there at Uptown and just was like, I was there. Let me start this page because the footage and stuff that you have is insane. Like these are moments from MTV, on what's it called? MTV Untapped, MTV on what was it? The live MTV show
Unplugged,
Unplugged. Thank you.
MTV Unplugged.
And all these things and music, and I was like, how did you? Where's this? What? And I don't even remember this stuff, but every time it pops up, I'm just like, oh my God, it takes me to my happy place. So thank you for this page that you started.
Thank you. I got your birthday party too on tape. That you did on BET at Rap City Live, and you hosted your own birthday party in
Listen,
that dress.
oh my God. I'm I've always been scared to have a birthday party because I was afraid that nobody would ever show up. I had one in eighth
Mhm.
grade, turned out to be the party of my whole junior high school. And it was the best party ever. And then I hadn't had one until I threw that party. And when I tell you, my people showed up, Chris,
They did.
oh, the Dog Pound, Dougie Fresh performed,
Yep.
like Wesley Snipes, John Singleton, like everybody and their mother came, and we had the best time. It was in this big space in Hollywood. I was doing radio in LA. I was at 92.3 The Beat, and we thought we were keeping it under wraps. Had to be easily 300 or 400 people there, and 90% of them were like celebrities who I didn't even think knew who the
Yep.
hell. Like, what? Wait, what? It was the best. I'm scared to throw a party now still. It's, but I'll check 2 off the box.
Yeah, definitely. So we got to hang out too. In New York, or if you in Chicago, I know Josie is here. We're gonna have to hang out after this COVID stuff is all over with. Because
Absolutely.
I wanted to actually do this in person a while ago, but one thing, you know how stuff be happening, the devil be trying it. But
But
I'm so glad
however
that you
we,
are doing the documentary.
thank you.
Go
Thank
ahead.
you. No, I was saying, however, we all got to tell these stories. I mean, it's not even just us, it's the universe on a whole, from CNN to, the network TV shows, whatever. This is what the new normal looks like. And so if I have to shoot
Right.
or we this way to get the stories told, then it is what it is, and people will understand.
That is amazing. And I mean, you have a good journey. You got a great body of work. And I'm just like, I've always been amazed at your hustle because you never stop. Like Puff, you never stopped. You kept it moving. Every era, you found a way. You was in there working radio. You worked at 92 The Beat in
Yeah,
LA.
I worked at 92.3 The Beat early, and then I went over to Power 106, and I was Big Boy's co-host in the morning, and then I switched over to 100. Well, it was back to 92.3 The Beat, and then again, and then I missed the era. I went back to New York to do Sirius Satellite. Came back when it was 100.3 The Beat and was doing the Steve Harvey Morning Show. So I've had like my own show. Been on an ensemble show. I actually started in New York when Wendy Williams got put on probation at Hot 97, and they have people come in, stars or whatever you want to call us.
Yeah,
On vacation, and so I sat in for her show for a week, and then they offered me weekends, and then I did morning shows with Ed and Dre and Ed Lover and Dr. Dre, excuse me. And so that's kind of how that started. But people have to understand too that there are quiet moments that nobody wishes for.
hmm
Right? That happens even from your A-list, where suddenly the phone stops ringing, and it's not because you've been
yeah,
unprofessional, not because your work still isn't good or that you're not a good dancer or an actor or a comedian, but the tides change where they start looking for something different and the phone stops ringing. And so you have to
right,
figure out what to do with yourself or reinvent yourself during that time. And just like how everybody tried to clown the actor from The Cosby Show while he's working at Trader Joe, like it's some real moments, regardless.
right, yeah,
Now you have a family, now you have a mortgage, and nobody wants to do
right,
a job that they hate, but you have to remember you got to survive, or you have to allow that job to
right,
pay for your dream job, pay for your dance classes, your equipment if you're trying to be a producer, pay for the studio time, whatever that other 9 to 5 job is that you hate, use that money to pay for your dream. And that's what it is.
right.
People say, oh, they fell off. It's like, no, we didn't fall off by choice.
Nah,
It's like going to the
right,
and you've been an All-American, and suddenly you got to sit on the bench, even though you're not getting a gazillion dollars, you're getting 200,000 or whatever it is in salary. You're suited up, everybody knows you're a Laker, but you're on the team, but you're not in the game, and
right,
sometimes no fault of your own. And so, but you just in those dark moments or in those valleys, you have to just kind of find a way to reinvent yourself, be patient, because you get insecure, you get sad, you get depressed, you get all these
yeah,
things. And you just kind of have to find your way out of it. And there's so many people who aren't built for this business who will quit, who you've seen commit
yeah,
because they couldn't work, or they're not,
hmm
they were, or they can't chart again. You know what I mean? It's hard. How many
hmm
voice
It's
cement,
real.
and Shaggy went diamond, and then they've never been able to do it again. But that doesn't mean they're not the
Right,
best on the planet. It's just the tides of the
exactly.
records change. So don't say that to anybody. Oh, you fell off, or you can't dance anymore. What happened? Nothing happened. It's just
Right, nothing happened.
you know.
Right. So, what are you listening to these days? What new artists are you feeling?
Oh boy. I'm kind of all over the place. I like Kalani. I like Megan. I like Jessie Reyes. I like Lil Sims out of the UK. I like Rhapsody. I love her. She's so dope. You know, I love my classics. Like, I still listen to my Anita Baker, my Sting, my Seal. Like, I'm all over the place. Um, I love, I like Drake. I don't think I got the love bug the way everybody else does. But I
Hmm.
do, you know, I still with my classics like Jay-Z and Nas forever. You
Yeah,
know,
of course.
I'm, yeah, I'm not one of those who's like, I want my 90s music. No, I'm embracing all of it. I think there was a
Yeah.
period hip hop became really disposable music. You're not attached to the
Hmm.
artist. They don't infect you in a way or affect you in a way that you like care to put their poster up on your wall or make them your
Right.
screen. They have one hit and then it's like, okay, I'm good.
Right.
In the day, you still love Big Daddy Kane. You still love Heavy D. You
Yeah.
still love Mary and Nice and Smooth and whoever because they made you feel something, you know?
Yeah, exactly. So speaking of Heavy D, the tour, the Heavy D tour, did you do the tour with Hev or did you do it with Mary?
No, I did the Nothing But Love tour with Hev. I actually never got to
Okay.
tour. I only got to do choreograph for music videos, um,
Hmm.
uh, and the TV performances and the stage show, but I never actually got to go on a full-fledged stadium tour with Mary. I think I had moved on to either Guy or Bobby Brown around that time, or
Hmm.
another artist at that time. So,
What's your favorite Hev moment?
you know, Hev and I were friends beyond us working together. Like I just talked to
Hmm.
his day. Like I don't have any brothers. He's somebody who's like a brother. Him and Floyd were like brothers to me. We just have had so many quiet moments on tour, and he was just a man of wisdom. But I think just when he found out he was about to be a dad and his daughter Zaya, and I remember when he called me and he just was like scared out of his mind. It was a nice surprise, but he was like, oh shit, what am I going to do? I was like, you
Yeah.
and she's gonna love you. Like so, but him trusting me enough to tell me that before he really told a lot of other people, you know, that's the kind of friends we were, you know. And there are times now where I miss not even being able to talk to him, you know, during like the
Hmm.
bullshit that we would always talk about or this business, because there was a time when things got quiet for him too. You know, he went from
Yeah.
switching movies like Life and stage plays that he was doing, and but his music wasn't hitting as much, and he's a talented guy. The talent never left. So people have to understand that this it's like this. I mean, it's even happened with Jay.
Yes, up and down. Yeah.
People were checking, you know what I mean? So it happens to everybody in pockets. Nobody's checking for Mariah Carey really like that, but that doesn't mean she's still not one
Right.
of all time. It just the tides have turned,
Right.
and you didn't necessarily do anything wrong to anybody. So
Right. Corey Rooney said he has footage of all you guys on a Prince Marky D promo tour.
Corey, yeah. I used to dance Corey the Soul Convention, Prince Marky D. We used to kill it. We did, I think, the Impact Convention, one of the biggest music conventions. Baby, you need to swing my way. Marky D can do your way. That's my song right there. I love you.
Yeah.
Yes, he probably has all the footage. I need that footage, Corey. Hook a sister up. He's one of
Yeah.
the producers, for those who don't know. Everybody from J-Lo to Mariah Carey, just anything that
Hmm.
me plus some. Corey Rooney put his hands and put his foot in it. That's what he did.
Yeah. Yep. So, your favorite, your go-to Uptown song. What's the Uptown song that comes on in the club and you just all in? You lose your mind.
Oh man. Um, First of all, most of like Mary's remix album, you know, like
Hmm.
411 with Grand Poobah, like that's my ish. You know, her and Method Man, like that's my ish. Um,
Yeah.
you know, I think this wasn't a big record for a lot of people. This is kind of when Heavy D went a little bit darker, but you can't see what I can't see with
Oh
Flavor Flav,
yeah. Yeah.
you know, and we are dancing in that video, but that was like such a fun in the LA streets, downtown LA, and it just hit.
Yeah.
You know, I have guy moments because they're the first people that took me to Japan, and we were on tour with Invoke.
Wow.
Kind of anything that they did, or I danced for Aaron, his solo career too. So all that stuff brings back like really good memories. One song too, well, they don't even play it that much, is Father MC 69.
Yeah.
Because we
That
got
video.
behind that video being so over sexualized that BET stopped playing it. And I don't even know if like in a bump were out then or something. It was looming around that time. And I'm like, he's showing all kinds of scrotum and balls, but he's
Right.
still fully clothed with sexual and, you know, innuendos.
Yeah.
What? But there's nothing that doesn't come on. Like when I hear Horace Brown, who I just think is one of the greatest singers, you know, Love
Yeah.
Boys, that whole Legal Drug Money, that whole album is just
Yeah.
ah,
Yeah.
Central New York. Like I just get all in my feelings. So all the hits at Uptown is just embedded into my soul at the club.
That's what's up, Les. I'm so happy I got a chance to do this with you.
I so appreciate you. Thank you so much. And I love how y'all don't understand. He didn't just like write me a text invitation. He set up the camera. He got on video. He's having a conversation with me about how we need to have a conversation. And I just thought, I love a personal touch. Like I'm somebody who still writes handwritten thank you cards. So thank you for that. It goes a long way. Thank you.
No problem. You gonna keep us posted on all the stuff you got coming up, right?
Absolutely, absolutely. I mean, you know, documentaries take some time. So it's going to be a minute between clearances, getting footage, getting everybody on camera. Now we're in the middle of a pandemic, and it's just been crazy. So yeah, you know, I just trying to check all the boxes. The one box I haven't been able to check yet is being, you know, female superhero. I've been in love with Pam, and I've kind of been compared to her in that sense, you know. And I think while I'm
Hmm.
backflips and that athletic ability of really kind of taking it to the next level, and
Yeah.
I hope is that next Black woman, and not necessarily sex symbol, but like someone little girls can really look up to. I would love to be able to do so. Universe, Ryan Coogler, Ava, whoever's listening, holla at your girl.
Yes. So I'm gonna ask you a random question.
Ask away.
What was your favorite hairstyle that you had through the years?
Oh my God. It is so scary looking at all these photos. Hot shit, and you look a hot mess. And I'm feel the same way, like, yo, what was we thinking? But their hair made so many statements, you know, the
Yeah.
asymmetrical, this.
Yeah.
But I think I'm always happiest and safest in a regular, like a bob. So when I switched into the bob and not the mushroom that I have, God, it's killing me. It's hurting even to say. I don't want nobody to start digging and searching for the evidence. And there were
Yes,
times,
the burgundy mushrooms.
you know, where I was the first and only female that they had. And you know, back then it's always an issue to get hair and makeup and wardrobe. And it's like,
Hmm.
come on, y'all don't want me to look like a monster. Like, and so there were some
Right.
episodes where I didn't have hair and makeup. And it does make a difference, people. So I'm scared for those
Yeah.
that are just frightening. Oh, God, forgive me.
My favorite, Les, is the hairstyle you had when Mary came to the radio station when she was doing her Access Granted,
Oh, the
and you
ponytail.
had the ponytail with the twist. And
Okay.
that was
Looking like
cold.
I think I was inspired by Straight Ahead at that time. Thank
Thank you for giving so much to the culture and doing your thing. I appreciate this. I'm gonna save this because the other live I did, I tried to save it and I don't know where it went. I did one with DJ Bilal and I tried to save it, but
Yeah,
I
just
think I mastered it this time.
way. Once you get out of this, it'll ask you to save first, wait for it to before you post. So, but I just want to say to everybody, like, follow your dreams and don't just like think about being the biggest on YouTube or Instagram. Like, really put it in
Yeah,
your music history. Like, you know, learn your rock and roll, learn your reggae, learn all of that for the dancers out there. Make sure you're ready that when that phone call comes in to do Broadway or commercial or whatever, that you know how to do a little bit of tap and a little bit of jazz and a little bit of ballet and
yeah,
you know, stay on your game. Forget being like this quick internet sensation. You want longevity, and longevity comes from consistency, you know. And
Absolutely.
your kids, if you find, I say this all the time because I'm, thank God I had a mother who saw me just from climbing trees and put me in a class that the cartwheels and me breaking furniture in her house has taken me around the world. So anytime you see your kids who can draw, who can sing, who have that artistic gift, even though you want them to be a doctor or a lawyer, whatever, nurture that gift because they could be the next, you know, I always say Picasso or the next whoever. You just never know. You never know. So
Absolutely.
stay ready so you don't have to get ready, y'all.
Absolutely. Because I did not plan on interviewing people when I started this page, but that's what happened. So you got to be ready.
That's right. So when you get your show, I want to be a co-host. Okay?
Oh, of course. It's going down.
Go for
Live from New York.
absolutely, absolutely. Thank you so much for having me. Thanks, y'all, for the love. Let me see who's my eyes on now. Look, that's how you know. Yeah, too. But hi, Amelia.
Yes.
What's up? Gustavo, what's happening? Edward 6328, what's going on? The Black Fairy
I
Godmother.
can't even see my client.
Corey, love you. MB Pace, what's up? GJ, Teddy Jam, loving one another. Hi, everybody. Thank you, y'all.
Thank y'all for tuning in with the one and only Big Les, our cultural icon. She's been doing her thing, the original Around the Way girl. Give it up for her. Yes. So yeah, Les, we gonna kick it once this COVID stuff is over with and talk about some projects and stuff.
Let's do it.
I'm all in. Thank you so much for coming through.
Thanks.
Love you.
Appreciate
I'm
you.
gonna be in touch.
All right, for sure. Bye, y'all. Peace out.
Peace.